Good evening, all. Thanks for joining us again tonight. Game week 25 is finished finally. Again, another long game week. And we're here to review it and we're here to look forward as well. We're going to talk about the team matchups we normally do, player matchups, and any decisions that we may or may not have made. Kieran. I'm FBL veteran for those who don't know me. FBL Discomfort is opposite me. Kieran, how's your week been, mate?
It's been good, Shane. It's been good. I must say, for those that aren't aware, Shane was actually ahead of time today and spent, I think, about 10 minutes staring at the camera and doing his hair. And I don't know what he's done since all that time, but it's not how he left it after all of that combing. So all that hard work. It's because you keep doing that, mate. All this time with the comb, and then...
Do you know what it is? I'm sure people noticed, because before it was quite long, wasn't it? It was like slicked back. And I thought, do you know what? I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna get it short. And I went to, and this is the reason why I go to the salon. Obviously, we're not on FPL yet, but this is why I go to like a normal salon. They just cut hair better. Especially if you've got longer hair, the barbers, it just bamboozles them. They're like, what's going on? I don't know what to do. And the cut, probably the worst cut I've had in my life. So that's what I'm trying to change it. Anyway, how's your week been, mate? Has it been good? I've been hectic.
Yeah, it's been a big one work-wise. It's weird, isn't it? Like we'll come on to how the game week went, but then it's straight into another game week with a Friday deadline again.
Yeah.
And not just that, we're not going to be able to do pre-game week 27 because that's Tuesday. There's no way I've got time for that.
I was just going to say that as well. Yeah, so we've got under 48 turnaround because tomorrow night is 6:30. Then, like you're saying, Tuesday turnaround. So it's a tight time that if you got to be careful, put your bus team, you got to be careful because if not, you'll get caught out and you'll probably captain Nunez or something like that.
I was out on UCL fantasy this week. It's weird. I work from home on a Wednesday, which is the second day. So Wednesday morning, I bought my subs on, not all of them. And then I just didn't do anything. So captain stayed on a blanker, goalkeeper a wrong one. It was good fun. So yeah, definitely look at your bus team after this weekend or after the deadline and kind of be happy with it. For me personally, it might be a time to just go, well, you could take a hit this week because you won't have to look at it for long. Because, look, it's another week. It's fresh.
And that's the good thing, though, because we always, it's funny, it's that balance. Like, quite often this game week or last game week, we were like, oh, it's too long. And now we're like, it's too short. You know what I mean? There's never that happy medium, But yeah, anyway, let's jump into it. Yeah.
Well, look, let's kick off with... What's this? I think it's going to be my team up first. Look, it wasn't good, to be honest. I took a -12. I don't know why. I didn't pick the manager that I said I was going to pick. Shane, it was everything. Everything I said last week, I've done it again. I didn't listen to anything I said. And at no moment did I like Emery as an option. And then I ended up with him instead of Silva. And look, it works out in the end.
Yeah.
Less points than Silva still. So it didn't work out. And actually, if I'd gone Silva, as we know, I probably midfield would have bought in Tielemans. Instead,
we were talking about that.
Clive, I'm not unhappy with. Højsen, I'm not unhappy with for the long term, but it wasn't needed because I had Lewis on the bench that would have got me 6 points. I took out Porro, who got a clean sheet as well, so that was a smart move. I realised I didn't have a playing goalkeeper. So, again, I don't know why I've done this, but I now have 2 Chelsea goalkeepers. So, I always have a playing goalkeeper.
I think that's the right shout, though, actually. I was talking about this other day in the vlog. I think that's the right shout.
It's cheap. It's cheap for 2 goalkeepers. Chelsea aren't great.
They've got a good run coming up.
Maybe. But, look, it wasn't a great week for me. Salah getting, well, actually half of my points when you take that 12 away from 92. So, still above the average points. But not good. So we'll move past it and we'll go over to you. And it looks like no hits for you. And I saw a little tweet from you before the deadline saying, who's your differential? Mine is Collins. And I'm not going to lie, I laughed because I went, why? But tell me why you have Collins.
Well, quite often I'll see him, like, not physically see him. I don't go to all the games. But quite often he's had quite a few assists this year. He's a big lump at the back. He's got good fixtures coming up. And I knew he was going to get an 8-pointer, really, Kieran, is what that was the main reason. When he got the clean sheet, I think it's because Brentford, everyone's written them off defensively. They've got so many injuries at the back. They're starting to come back now, and they'll start to keep clean sheets. And, for the longevity, I thought, yeah, I'll bring him in. And luckily, he got 2 bonus points, which I was pretty ecstatic about, mate. But you're like, oh, that's Shane's best pick all year. Only took him, what, 26 game weeks to get a good one in. Um, but no, that's why I brought him in. I did. Did I take a -4? I'm not sure. I brought Huyson in, though, which is a bit annoying because sometimes less is more. And I had Veltman on the bench. And I thought, shall I play him and just risk it? And I thought, no, because the thing is, Brighton got battered last game, didn't they? They got smashed by Forest.
They're a
So to
Jekyll
then
and Hyde
go,
team, right? Like they
yeah, that's the
battered one
thing.
week, batter someone else the next week.
And I tell you what, he hit the post as well. So I'm lucky he didn't score because if he hit the post as well, that's like a 12, 13, 14 pointer. So I was quite glad with that. But yeah, I mean, Collins and Ray at the back. My defence this year has been a nightmare. So it's starting to show up a little bit. Hoyson was annoying, conceding to Southampton, but it is what it is. Luckily, when I looked at your team as well, I seen you had Luis Diaz as well. You've been on for a wee while. So finally, after 13 goals, he managed to get an assist. Well, he got an assist and a goal. Assist for the penalty and then a goal, which is good. About time because I hung on to him for too long, to be honest. Django, I brought big Django in, mate. That was good. He paid off. I think it's quite difficult with people that have got Bournemouth. Like, I think it's just a bit of down to budget, really. Clive or Django or
I think they're
um,
all good. I think they're going to be one
they
of the
are
teams.
good,
We
yeah.
saw it with Brighton a couple of years ago, right? Where which ones you go with? We saw it with Palace last year, as they already say. The answer is inevitably going to be two or three of them, right? From an attacking perspective for certain
Yeah.
fixture runs, maybe towards the end of the season, because that's what we saw with Palace. It's going to be one of those. I think we're seeing with Bournemouth, they're all involved. So yes, Dango got 7, but Clivert still got 5, right? So it's not a million miles away from it. So again, they're all returning. And I guess people will be disappointed if they've got Clivert because they got 5 points because they're comparing it to Dango. But compare it
Yeah.
to Palmer at 2 points. Compare it to Mbuma at 3 points. Compare it to Sarah at 2 points, right? 5 points is decent. Like, it's a return. So just take it. As long as a Bournemouth attacker keeps ticking over and they're getting an attacking return each
Exactly.
week, you're laughing.
There's no point in getting. I wrote this as well on like my blog for this year, for this game week. There's no point in getting too out of kilt with it because you could go for ages on what Bournemouth attackers do. And ultimately, it comes down to budget and it comes down to a bit of luck. You know what I mean? Like you said, if they score a goal, most of them will be involved. All right, you'd be unlucky if you went for Clivert and Django got all the points. And again, that's FPL. You can't do anything about it. Up top, Isaac was a bit disappointed because City been conceding, but listen, it's City. They still do play well sometimes, although not the other night when they got absolutely battered by Madrid. And then Wissa, he was unlucky. I think he had 2 goals. I mean, rightly they were offside, but he was a bit unlucky to not get more. Slot kind of let me down. He's been okay. I mean, he's had 5 game weeks, so I've just left him. I'll probably leave him for City to be honest, unless they go very very rogue. But yeah, I thought they would have. I thought they would have got it a little bit better. And this is something I didn't understand, Kieran. Right? Help me understand this. I get chasing the table bonus, but when you've got maybe Emery and like 3 Liverpool assets, how do individuals want that game to go? Do you know what I mean? How would you like that game to go? Because you're either going to get a great table bonus from Emery and your Liverpool player's blank, do you mean or the other way around? And it was kind of the same as like Davy Moyes
Yeah,
before. People had people had
the,
triple
the,
Liverpool, but
the
Davy
Liverpool
Moyes,
wasn't. Yeah, but again, I think that's
you
fine because
know.
you're not just doing it for that. You've got the other game, right? And I think that's the important thing. I think the difference is I was concerned about the Villa Ipswich game, and that's why I shouldn't have gone with it. And I did get lucky. But the reality is, like 9 times out of 10, Villa probably get a couple of goals there and the win. And that's a big difference
Yeah,
between the two. So I think that's it. I think like Emery owners were then relying on the Liverpool game. So then they were in that scenario you're talking about. But
exactly,
they but
exactly.
they wouldn't have been, right, because if he picked up the points that we would have expected, you're looking at an extra 2 points for the win, plus an extra point for the goal, or an extra few points for a clean sheet in the scenario is significantly more. So then you're not that reliant. You're just hoping Villa get a goal or two. And even if you lose, you still picked up a couple of points in that harder fixture. So I get it. I think one of the ones was going to be it was going to be tricky. Again, it is just down to short turnarounds. And yet, Geddy's mentioned it on the
That's
last
it.
stream, obviously saying Villa 2 games in 4 days, never good. And in reality, they got 2 points from it. But on the flip side, I remember not that long ago that Liverpool were ahead of Arsenal by 6 points and had a game in hand.
Yeah,
And
it's quite a lot.
now they're 8 points ahead, but they played a game more. So from Liverpool's perspective, you look at them in these 4 fixture runs where it has been quite congested for them, and
Yeah.
from an FPL perspective, it's been great. But from a Liverpool point perspective, they've dropped 4 points in 2 of those games now. So look, Arsenal won't
Yeah.
compete with them with the lack of attackers, but at least it's made it slightly more interesting for a while.
It has. But I think if I could go back, I would have definitely used triple captain one of these weeks for obviously Salah, which we've not spoke about. There's no point because it's unbelievable. He'll get his best season this season easily. But assistant manager, I wish I'd used it later and gone a little bit more aggressive on the table bonus, which I might do this weekend. But we'll come on to that near the end. So overall, not bad. 200-point games in a row, you can never complain, mate.
That is good, mate. Yeah, back to back there. Cool. Well, look, we'll kind of breeze through high level the XG matchups, but I guess Shane, just looking at the overall XG side of things right now, I guess not really few movers and shakers, but we were saying Arsenal continue their sort of low XG conceding approach, and they did keep that clean sheet against Leicester. So maintain their spot at the top in terms of that, because Leicester didn't really create all that much there. But is there anything that stands out to you here in terms of a team being rated higher or lower than you think in terms of XG across the season?
Yeah, I mean, well, Chelsea didn't score the other day, but they've got decent XG there, XG4,
Well,
which is quite
we'll see if
surprising.
that converts to the goals, right? In a
Yeah,
moment or
yeah,
two.
that's
But yeah,
it.
it is surprising that they are second.
So that kind of jumps out. Fulham, third XG against as well. That's not what I was expecting. I mean, they're playing decent, but third's pretty high. They're probably 2 biggest ones that jump out for me. You got any ones that jump out for you there a little bit? That kind of a blind spot for us.
Apologies, mate. My computer just decided to do a quick freeze on me.
That's right. Yeah, they're the 2 that jump out at me. Have you got any other ones that
What was the other one you
you?
mentioned apart from Chelsea?
Fulham third XG against, which
Yeah.
is better than what I expected. City creeping back up there, XG4.
Tottenham XG against being 16th, which we kind of know, right? They're open.
Tottenham.
We'll flip over to how it converts. So look, Chelsea are still 4th for goals that they've scored now, joint with Tottenham, and Tottenham jump up to 12th for goals against. Fulham, like you said, Fulham rank well for XG against at 3rd, but they're actually 7th for goals against. So it is a bit of a drop off there. Arsenal jump up on the goals for, up to 3rd. City are 2nd for goals for, which is probably Omar Mamouche, who is converting. I think I saw earlier on Black Box, it's over 40%. Chris Wood's converting 40% of his shots, by the way. He's scoring with 40% of them. And Marmouche, yes, he's just joined, but he's over that. No player, and this is one that Mark mentioned, so I'm stealing it, but no player in the Premier League history has ever finished a season scoring over 40% of their shots. So Chris Wood could be the first.
Jesus.
And I guess that translates, well, it doesn't really translate. Like Forest don't concede, 3rd for goals against. Bournemouth don't concede, 3rd for goals against. Wolves concede a lot, 18th for goals against. So actually, if we were looking at this, like maybe a Dango could be a captaincy shout this week if you're looking at these matchups for the goals.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. For me, I'm a bit like a lot of people have got Bournemouth, and I think we've put Bournemouth a little bit on this pedestal a little bit. Maybe not this weekend. I'm not saying Wolves are going to win. I think it'll be tougher than what many people think. Yeah, table bonus maybe a bit too much, but yeah. I mean, I'm not going to take any Bournemouth players out 100%, but yeah, it doesn't make for good reading that they're still 18th conceding.
No, it doesn't. I guess one other one that is worth mentioning, just as an option, Arsenal are struggling to score at the moment, but West Ham are pretty porous. So look, we'll jump into how it looks home and away, given we played about a dozen fixtures in either location at least now, or typically most teams have played at least 12 home and at least 12 away, if not more in one of those. So It's not clicking forward. We'll try again. Here we are. So the XG matchup first of all, in terms of home and away. Well, one that jumped out to me is the team that has the highest XG at home is Aston Villa. And Chelsea have a pretty poor rating for XG against themselves away from home. It's the best team for XG against the 16th best team for goals conceded or expected goals conceded.
Yeah, and you see those people that took Palmer out, it was a bit of a risk, but it's paid off, really. I mean, what's that, 3 blanks in a row? 4 blanks? 3 blanks in a row, I think. Looks set to be another one if you go off this day.
And also, if you look at it, like Chelsea do well in scoring away from home, better than they do at home, or sort of give or take, or expected wise. But Villa seem to have a pretty strong defence, ranking fourth for home defences for XG.
Yeah, they do. They leak quite often away from home, Villa, don't they? But they don't. I mean, they're not leaking loads. It's usually like one, not really even two. It's usually just the one. So it's kind of changing my perception of what I think that score will be at the weekend. Actually, Chelsea Everton. Like
Jenny's made a
fancy.
point here. Yeah, fancying Everton to beat Man U.
I did. Go on. You go first.
I was going to say, Man U's defence away from home, though, is very, very good. And it's hard to read anything from these stats into Everton because it's under David Moyes, right? So this hasn't had David Moyes' impact on it yet. It would be interesting to see if we just pulled it out of that. But what I would say is Man U's defence away from home is pretty good. And I'm going to come on to something about Man U a little bit later on, actually. But Everton don't create that much at home. And that's not really changed under Moyes. Yes, Beto is scoring goals. But that's about it, really.
Yeah, I think that's what people didn't realise. Like in that game against Leicester, they had 4 shots and they scored 4 goals. The first of which was in 10 seconds in. So all this stuff had to happen for it to fall in. Listen, Beto, I think he's probably. I've always rated him a little bit. He should have got more of a chance. Especially when DCL was.
He wasn't the right. I don't think he worked well under a Dyche system. I think it was like a combination of things. He needed a fresh manager. Look, we'll jump over to the goals matchup because we've got a few more slides this week than normal because I kind of wanted to dive into why we do these breakdowns, particularly home and away at the moment as well. But goals matchup wise, Bournemouth with the best defence at home.
They are, yeah. I mean, they have been strong this season.
Here's a question for you, Shane. Would you be tempted by Huijsen as the captain?
Not this season, and I tell you why. The amount of goals flying in. It's not Arsenal. Arsenal have been a great defence. Even there, have crept a few goals. It's not like it has been in the past where it's like you could fairly rely now. Do you know what I mean? There's people scoring everywhere. I like the idea. And listen, he could score a goal. He scored what? Scored 2, I think. I do like the idea of captaining a defender. But if you're going to captain a defender, would you not prefer an Arsenal defender?
Well, it's interesting you say that because yes, it's one part of it. But what I find quite interesting is look at goals against for West Ham here. They ranked 8th away from home. You compare that to overall, where they ranked 16th.
So that's.
Now, again, it does mean like it'll be a closer game than people expect, to be honest, because West Ham will struggle to score. They're the 15th best. And as I was saying last week, I think Arsenal will just become stronger defensively, knowing that it takes more to score goals right now. And also, they're going to probably play a West Ham team that will administer a similar low block like Leicester did. Sort of sit back, try and hit on the counter, use the pace of Bowen, Kudus, etc. to try and do something. So I think that will potentially be their game plan and try and get physical with the Arsenal defenders. I think Gabriel could potentially get booked in a fixture like this just because of the kind of players that West Ham will use and the tactics. They're smart at it. But at the same time, Graham Potter, right? How would you feel as a West Ham fan? I know he's better than Lopetegui, but if you're a West Ham fan and you've just seen David Moyes go above you with Everton, how would you feel right now?
Considering how much did West Ham spend in the summer? A good portion, right?
Pretty money.
How much did they spend? 100 mil?
Oh, it was a lot. I don't
know. Maybe 100. Yeah, it was quite a lot. It was definitely with 100 mark. and you've just been taken over by Everton, who haven't bought anybody, have been terrible all season, and David Moyes just comes in. I never understood the switch. I think I said to you at the time, I don't understand the switch unless there was someone better to bring in. Like Lopetegui at Wolves, that didn't really go well anyway. Listen, he is a good manager, but I just, unless you knew you were getting 10 times better or someone for the future, like Hurtsler or something, I didn't understand the switch, and I'm not really surprised that it didn't work out, to be honest. But I didn't realise how far Man United are under Everton now, right?
Mm. Here's another one for you, though, Shane.
Go on.
I was just going to say, sorry, something that just jumped out to me a lot right now. I was just looking at this Man City Liverpool matchup. And I might have to just check the data here for a second. But if I go to the goals conceded overall, Liverpool have the second best defence. But apparently away from home, they've got the seventh best defence.
Yeah, I think...
No, six, sorry. But let me just check that.
So I think, just going back while you're checking that, I think if you were going to captain a defender this week, for me, it'd be Gabriel. And I've considered it because that's the kind of game that they put a low block in, you know what I mean? And Gabriel come up, score the winner 1-0 from a corner, and that'll get Arsenal through. You know, something like that. So I don't think Gabriel's a bad shout, to be honest.
Well, I tell you my favourite defender if I was to captain one this week. And yeah, I checked the data. Liverpool are the sixth best defence away from home. They've conceded 16 goals away from home. It's not terrible, but it's not great. No. It's kind of middle of the pack range. Like 19 is probably about the average, 18, 19. So again, it's not, by compared to their overall status defensively, it's a lot. Look, the one that stands out to me, and it's something that I'll keep coming back to. I said it 2 podcasts ago when they were playing Man United, when I was doing it with Roberto. Crystal Palace defensively away from home are ridiculously good. They are the best away defence. They have conceded 10 goals away from home this season. 10.
Yeah.
Fulham are fine at home. Fulham are fine at home. But I definitely understand why people are looking at Glasner, and I don't think they're looking at it because they've seen how good this is. If you've got Munoz, you're definitely playing him this week. I've heard people say, do you start Munoz or Robinson? And for me, probably both, if I'm honest, because it could be a 0-0 as well. But if I had to pick, I'd start Munoz because Palace away from home defence is ridiculous.
Yeah, great. He's been going up there. But just quickly going back on that Liverpool there, they've conceded a quarter. How many goals they conceded? 16. They've conceded a quarter of their goals in the last 2 matches. So, you know, Villa and Everton. So I think it's a recent form as well. It's Geddy saying Salah cap. Yeah, I mean, listen, you can't. Yeah, listen,
Well, that's what I was going to say. I think these 2 defences, home and away, City are the 7th best home defence. Liverpool are the 6th best away defence, right? I know we can look at the skew that's happened recently, but these is now the best away attack against the 2nd best home attack. It will be goals. It could be a 3-3. It could be a high-scoring game. So, you definitely want to consider if you're going to come off of Salah. And also, I wouldn't be scared to go Marmoush. If I was looking to get into City and Marmoush, this game wouldn't put me off because Liverpool away from home, after the amount of fixtures they've just played, and that's what's going to be massive.
Yeah. I mean, they did look leggy over this period. I expect them to do well and grind out the wins. Last-minute equaliser against Everton, 2-1 up against Villa, and then back to 2-2. I expect them to close it out. If Darwin Núñez could hit the target, maybe they might have got through. I don't know.
But they were lucky in the games they won.
Yeah,
right? Let's not forget that. Like the Bournemouth one, they were lucky to win. I can't remember who the first leg was of their double. So again,
I mean, Villa played well. They deserved that. You know, they at least deserved the draw. So
the best thing I heard,
go on.
I heard this right, and this was on a James Alcott pod, and he was asking, different fans their favorite, like, what's the one moment that stands out for you this season like that? Wow, yeah, that was amazing.
Yeah. And
for Liverpool fans, there isn't a moment. There isn't that moment, right? Which says a lot, right? They're top of the league, and they none of them could look at a moment going, oh, do you remember that? They haven't. They're top of the league without getting out of second gear. They haven't had a moment.
It could be this weekend, though, because I don't know if you watched the Madrid game. I don't condone it, but I put a little bit of bet on. What's Colin saying first? Haven't beaten Palace at home for 20 years. Jesus. So yeah, I see why people are going Glasgow now. But yeah,
Yeah, but there's only
I
been
put
6 games. You need to read out the brackets part as
yeah,
well. They've not been in the same division the
yeah.
majority of the time.
No. Yeah, I put a wee bet on for Madrid to be winning 3-0 at half time, which almost came in. Anyway, that lineup, I mean, again, we're kind of going a little bit away from FPL, but that lineup, I don't know what he was thinking because he started that
He was
Kushinov
he
on
was he
right
thought he was
back.
probably he thought he'd lost, right? So I think it was to set up so that he had a team for this game.
Well, that's the thing. Who does he choose? Because that's Stones. He won't be at the way. Did Haaland come on, by the way?
He said that he didn't feel like it or feel ready for it.
He didn't come on at all.
No.
I
But
mean, is
I
Haaland
again
going to
think
come on at the
that's now like
weekend?
I think they've resigned to that. You're going away to the Bernabeu. Like
Yeah.
I reckon they would have used. I don't even know if he was on the sub bench, to be honest.
I think he was. I think he was, but he didn't come on. So I don't know who Pep's going to play at the weekend. And I've been looking at the teams before. I think how City are going to get on, but I don't know. I'm kind of thinking Liverpool might do a statement at the weekend against City.
I think
Um,
City are going to win it. If I'm honest, I think there's something sneaky
really?
coming. So we've got Geddy was almost influenced by Colm to bench Robinson. But look, what I wanted to come on to is these are just graphs showing the home goals scored in blue and the home goals conceded in green for each team to see if there's any standout teams. Now, it stands out that Southampton's defence at home is atrocious. That massive green bar way above all others apart from West Ham, Ipswich,
Tottenham.
Leicester, Wolves,
I thought you said
Brentford.
that first.
Where's Tottenham? Oh, yeah, Tottenham. I was kind of going in order there. And again, you can kind of see those defences that are pretty good at home, right? So Bournemouth, Arsenal,
I love this graphic, by the way.
Liverpool.
So easy.
It's kind of nice to see the difference between it, right? Like who's got positive goal difference, how positive is it by the gap between those two?
Yeah,
So I
it gives
thought
you a huge
this is
steer on
kind of
home and away from.
exactly, and like similar, we've got it away from home as well, where Liverpool at home have scored 26 goals. Away from
Yeah.
home, they've scored 36.
Are you rethinking that City win?
No, because City at home have scored 26, 27 probably.
But a lot of that
And
was the start of the
and
season
they don't
scores
really
when they were
concede goals.
battering.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, I think it'll be exciting to see. I mean, listen, ah, when you got Salah in your team, does it matter too much? You know, it's yeah, and I get that people may be going against the grain for him. All right, he won't get as much this weekend, but I, yeah, it's a huge risk, man. I don't know if I want to take that risk.
Well, fair. Look, another thing that I kind of wanted to just jump into, just while I was playing around, is this is just to see this comparison of how teams score goals at home in blue via way in orange. To see the teams that score way more goals away from home than they do at home. So again, look at that for Liverpool. We can see that clear jump
Yeah,
between those two, which again, we'll go back to Geddy and bit of a
sure.
lock, unstoppable at the moment, and he loves to goal v City.
He
So
does
yeah,
love a goal
actually,
with City, actually. Yeah.
the more I look at it, the more I go, yep, interesting. And look, there's not many teams that score more goals away from home than they do at home. Bournemouth are another one.
Yeah, they're home, I thought.
Chelsea,
They're a lot more
another
tighter,
one.
aren't they? A lot more tighter at home. Yeah, again, they start slowing down, haven't they? But yeah, Chelsea are a tough one because they're in a bit of flux, aren't they, with no striker really. So it's be interesting to see what they do the next few games. You know.
Here's a question. Is this worrying or indicative that all of the teams, so let's look at Ipswich, Leicester, both have scored more goals away from home than they have at home. Southampton have scored the same at home as they have away from home. And Wolves have scored a couple more away than they have at home, but a lot more goals than the other three. But then look at Everton, more at home. So is that kind of what you're then looking at? How are you going to stay up? Well, can you win your games at home when your fans are behind you when you need to? Or do you feel more pressure when you're at home? And this would indicate that the newly promoted teams probably feeling the pressure, whereas teams that have been there, done that before, can kind of lift their teams to it. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, do you remember that at the start of the season, Southampton? I think they were ahead in quite a few games at home, and they just absolutely capitulated. And I think that like you're saying, you've got to win your home games, or you've got to at least pick up points at home, and that's what killed Southampton, isn't it? You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, back in the league, it's quite stressful, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, look, here's the conceded, kind of looking at that as well. And yeah, again, this is just kind of to represent why we now like to break it down into the home and away aspect. Because you can see there's quite drastic things here where Bournemouth, you can see again, Bournemouth at home, incredible defence, away from home, at below average defence. Crystal Palace at home, below average defence, at home, one of the best defences.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to look at those comparisons there where you can see, in fact,
I mean,
that
Newcastle.
Crystal Palace's away defence is as good as Arsenal's home defence. Just to put that comparison there, both have conceded 10 goals. Arsenal 10 at home, considered one of the strongest defences in Europe. Palace away from home have conceded 10 goals. Considered questionable, always around 11th, 12th, 13th place.
As well, look at Newcastle. You talk about home and the pressures. They've conceded a lot more at home than they have away as well, which you wouldn't
No,
expect for Newcastle.
blue is the home and orange is the away.
Yeah, they're quite high though, aren't they?
Away from home.
Oh no, yeah, next one, yeah. So yeah,
I guess the other thing I'd highlight on this one is look at that drastic difference between Tottenham. Tottenham at home conceding loads of goals, away from home pretty decent. But you can kind of see that average away from home is a lot higher than the average at home. So again, you're better defensively typically at home for most teams. It's just interesting when you do see those drastic differences, particularly with Crystal Palace and with Tottenham, between those home and away defences. And when you are going through those benching decisions, should I bench this player or that player? Well, yeah, maybe it is worth looking at the home or away. Fulham, if you go back to that, Fulham v Palace, like which one? If you were to go purely off of this, and again, this isn't an exact science, you can't go purely off of this, but it would tell you that you're starting your Palace defender over your Fulham defender from a defensive standpoint.
Yeah, or you got more chance for clean sheet. That I think it's quite ominous as well for the weekend for you. Is for West Ham, seeing how many goals they concede at home as well. And like you're saying, you're not going to go up the table if you're not doing much at home. So that Gabriel captaincy might be on it.
Do you know another one that's potentially on? If I'd kept him and not got rid of him this week, I wouldn't do it.
Go on.
But we've just said Tottenham away from home have a good defence. We know that Ipswich are terrible for conceding goals. A Pedro Porro this week as a captaincy, if he got a clean sheet and an attack in return, people could be laughing.
He could be big.
I think Tell goes well in that game, by the way. I think Matthias Tell,
yes.
He's definitely someone I've had an eye on. I don't have space. Well, I do. I've got Sarr in my team. I've got space for a midfielder. I know who that's going to be. We'll come onto the team shortly, but I think I know who that will be. But Tell does tempt me.
Yeah, I mean, what is he, 6 mil? So he's cheap. You could easily get him in. And yeah, I think he's look good. So, and he'll be lowly owned. Let's get the same. One thing I've noticed this season with United, like Kieran said, we're poor at home, better away for clean sheet. I was talking to a few mates about this. The pitch at Old Trafford is too big for our players. Yeah, unfortunately, Gabby, I think most pitches would be too big for the way United are playing just now. You know what you need? You know what United need? Like an Anthony. You need like an Anthony type player back, don't they?
I tell you what they need. Shane. It's time.
Scott McTominay.
It's time.
Here we go. That's a great segue.
Geddy read my mind. So, I want to spend a couple of moments talking about Patrick Dorgu and why I think he is someone that people need to start paying attention to. Patrick Dorgu is a player signed by Amorim. that is one of the most important things to highlight, right? Amorim has inherited a lot of players, and people have heard him say quite adamantly he has a system that he's utilised at Sporting, and it's a system that he believes in, and he will continue to look to make work. He's been parachuted in and had to work with the players. Some of those players can't work in any system, it seems. So he's doing the best he can, and this year is to assess which of these players fit my system and are capable of adapting to it. As you were kind of saying there, Shane, not many, but one that does is Dorgu. And let's just have a look at his stats here on the right-hand side for the last 365 days from FB Ref. Against all other fullbacks, he ranks in the 92nd percentile for non-penalty goals, 97th percentile for non-penalty XG, 97th percentile for shots, 19th for assists, which you might not expect for a winger, right? You might be like, well, why not? He actually has quite a few assists, though. I don't think I've got it on here. Oh, no, assists, he's got 0.03 per 90. But yeah, but overall, if you look at these things, his non-penalty XG plus his expected assisted goals, you look at his progressive carries being in the 85th percentile, he is an exciting player. And the reason why in particular I think he's an exciting player is something I wrote when Amorim first joined for United. And it's that wing-backs are imperative to everything he does in the system. Wing-backs are more like wingers with a responsibility to get back and defend when they are out of possession. So there's a couple of images here taken from one Sporting game, actually, against Benfica, a tough opposition. And we'll see on the bottom left-hand side that this is kind of the build-up. The ball right now is kind of out of the picture where we can see this player in the bottom right-hand corner with a white line by him. The two circle players are the wing-backs, which you can see the width they are creating. They are two of the furthest players forward. Now, they do short combinations and third man runs to break down these defensive lines. They do quick vertical passing transitions. And as you can see from this, the wing-backs push high, creating width for and space for the forwards. Because if they go wide, at the moment, if you're looking at this freeze frame, what do you think those Benfica defenders have to now do?
Well, they have to go out. They have to go and meet, don't they?
And then how many players can you see in the middle there from Sporting?
In the left or the right? Right hand one.
In the left hand one, sorry.
Two. Well, there's two in the middle, isn't there? So
there's two and then the striker, right? So you can see the three in the centre here on the bottom left-hand image. So there's two wide players with those four defenders. Well, if they both go out wide to take it, you've now got a 3-on-2 situation.
Yeah.
Which is massive. And then we can kind of cut. And I'm not sure if this was from the same segment. Yeah, it looks like it was actually. 7 minute 2 second. And then we jump in the right-hand corners at 8 minute 25 seconds. This is now when the right wing-back has the ball. And by overloading these wide areas, they pull defenders out. As we can see here, we've got sort of five Benfica defenders marking the player with the ball and 2 players near him. That is 5 players against 3, which enables 3 Sporting players in the middle to occupy those centre-backs and remaining defenders, and then leaves the left wing-back to receive the ball in the far post. And it's something that's very common, and it's something that we've also seen Dorgu do throughout the season. So for me, look, it's early days for him. But looking at the fixtures that Man United have coming up, you know, we do have this Everton game, which, as we were just saying, and Geddy mentioned, they seem to be better defensively away from home than they are at home. That's then followed by Ipswich, which if you're going to win any home game and keep a clean sheet, it should be Ipswich. And then it's Arsenal, which is a tricky one. And then it's Leicester away from home. So you've got 2, if not 3, good clean sheet opportunities there with a wing back in a system with a manager that signed him for that system and the knowledge he can play. He's 19. He's 4.5 million. And I think when people are looking at defenders at this stage, he's someone that plays in 29 away from home in one of the better away from home defenses against the Leicester side. So that is my Dorgu segment.
I like him. It's very informative. I have to admit, I didn't know too much about him. He's maybe one for the end. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, as we get closer to the end of the season.
But why?
One that starts pushing through.
But is there a better opportunity than Everton, Ipswich, Leicester when there's a blank coming up? If you're not free hitting and you need a defender, I'm not saying you have to bring him in for this week. But what I'm saying is, I've heard people looking for defender options, and I prefer him over a lot of the options I'm hearing right now.
Where's he 4.5?
4.5.
I mean, listen, even if you have him on the bench and he comes in,
Now he's the left back solution long term, left wing back, and like Eddie said here, Quenda, the player that's pinging the ball in, is potentially the right wing back option. So look, again, he's not one that I'm saying this is my top tip, get Dorgu in. But what I'm saying is no one's talking about him, and they will once he does what I truly believe he will do. And I think he'll be a player that will finish with a flurry starting from now because he's got the fixtures to start doing that flurry.
It's like gives me Barco vibes. Remember from Barco vibes, I think Kieran, like those that are watching.
Barco got an assist on the weekend, so you can pipe down.
I've seen that, yeah. Yeah, no, it's in a good way, Barco. Like, obviously, you brought the attention to probably the whole FBL community because people didn't really know. But
yeah, and then
now I'm thinking of maybe getting him in. Yeah, but still, he's still done well in that short time. But yeah, it's definitely one Dorgu. Yeah.
Do you have anything for us this week, Shane?
I do, mate. I do. I've got a very simple one. And it's a little bit of atmospheric music. This is one that's really inspired by Kieran, really. I've seen a lot on Twitter and when me and Kieran have been speaking that people go, I was going to do that, and I was going to do that, and I was going to change it. For me, in this segment, it's nice and simple. It's play the game your way, all right? Don't try not to get pulled in by the Twitter mob. Use it for a bit of information, make your decision, and then stand by your decision. There's a lot of people, I think, over the last maybe 2-3 game weeks that said, "Oh, I'm going to bring this player in, but I didn't because this individual." If you think something's going to happen, and you really want to bring this certain individual in, this player or this manager, then bring them in, right? If that's what you think, you make your analysis, you look at both sides, and you think, no, that's the best option, then stand by it and bring it in. Really, are you going to win FPL? I mean, listen, we all want to win FPL. Not that you win anything decent. I think you win a PlayStation 2 years down the line. But they're the decisions that we remember the most. The 0.5% player or the 2% player or the manager no one's choosing to bring him in. You bring him in. Everyone thinks you're amazing, and then you move on. So for me, that's the segment. Nice and short. Play the game your way. Stand by your decision, and enjoy the rewards when they pay, because they will pay off. And that's more a personal one for you as well, Kieran. I think it was funny with midweek when you said Tielemans, and I was watching the Liverpool game, and Tielemans pops up, and I was like, "Oh!" I text you, and I was like, "Are you watching this?" Tielemans, he's like, "I know." I was like, "No."
I think to be good at working out the players that are going to do well in certain matchups, don't I? And then not going for them despite taking a -12. So I made 4 transfers and didn't get the manager I wanted and didn't get the midfielder I wanted. But part of that was just because I don't like Villa long term, if I'm honest. Like, the reason why I was considering Tielemans is I think... Is the music still playing in the background here? Sorry, I was giving you atmospheric music. I thought and think that Rodgers is deployed differently in the Premier League than he is in Europe because of the way that Emery sets up. And I think he's incredible, but I've said it before, he's used more as a chaos maker distractor than the final product more often than not. So he's almost like a pre-assister. He drags the defenders out of position. He then passes the ball back to someone who then puts it in towards Watkins. So it was more that case of sort of, I felt that, and therefore if I was going to get a Villa player, I couldn't get him. And also there's no point in getting him when everyone else has him. So Tielemans made sense. But again, didn't go there, didn't get anywhere with it. But let's jump back on with, I guess, what the plans are, Shane. So look, we're on your bus team. Talk me through your bus team.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, all those that are watching or listening, remember, you've only got till 6:30 tomorrow night. So, and midweek always worries me. You know, when it's a midweek deadline, I always think the game's going to crash a little bit. So I always go in a little bit earlier. So, yeah, make sure you put your bus team tonight. So, in case work or a family, something happens, gets in the way of the FPL team, you've at least got bus team. But I think really, I'm just going to
work family. Be careful about the order you put those words.
Yeah, the message.
Imagine if your family get hit by a bus and you can't take your FPL team because you're stuck at work.
Absolute nightmare. I think for me, I'm pretty set on rolling. I set the team up probably for the next 2 or 3 game weeks, and this week there's quite some fixtures, isn't there? Obviously, Liverpool have got City, and a lot of the other fixtures are going to be quite close and quite tight. So there's not a player that jumps out at me and says you need to have me. So apart from Dorgu, obviously now you've got Dorgu, but no, I think for me, I'm gonna roll it. I'm going to start building a little bit towards 29, so I can navigate that without a chip. The only transfer I was looking was a manager chip, possibly. Um, but if it is, it is massively, massively risky. Can you guess who I was thinking of going? And it's not Glasner,
Yeah.
by the way, sure.
No, it's McKenna. Kieran McKenna.
Big McKenna. I mean, McKenna came off my mind, but I was actually thinking of the Wolves manager. And I don't know, after looking at those stats, probably not. But I don't think it's worth a transfer. Glasner, yeah, it's maybe a shout, but I don't think it's enough for me to change. I think I'll just roll with Slot. If they draw, they draw. I think I'll just take what points he had. And I think this is pretty set, mate, really, to be fair. Vardy, in fact, I need to get Constance on my team at some point. He's just been in there. I think he's.
There's no need to use a transfer because he's so far back. Like you'd
No,
start
yeah, but
before him.
Yeah. But for down the fixture, you have to start looking at how much chips you have. I've got all the chips, bar obviously assistant manager. So I'm
Wait,
thinking
hang
about how to
on. I need to rewind a second. I've just replayed today's show in my head, and I've just replayed you saying that you were considering of bringing in a Wolves manager, and now I need to call you out on this, Shane. What do you expect when you've got a Bournemouth attacker? How are you going to win with this scenario? What are you hoping for?
I think if I did. So for me, if I think, and that's what I've done over the last week, like I've said, people with Moyes and Liverpool attackers, pretty much like my segment there, mate. Stand by your decision on what you think that's going to be. Don't play both sides. If you think it's be a 0-0 or someone will get a clean sheet, then fine, play both defenders. But if I did go risky and go Wolves, I'd bench Django, which says to me I'm probably not going to do it.
What about Hoyson? So you're hoping that it is the 0-0 then, because you don't want a goal for your manager?
No, I'd probably do the same, and I'd swap Milinkovic. Because again, if I've
or
got
you could transfer Konza out and bring in Dorgu.
there you go. That's the best option by the sound of it. But I think I'm just gonna. It's a tight turnaround. I think I'm just gonna relax and chill. And just see how it plays out. There's too many close games this week. I think I'm pretty set, mate. Really.
Do you know?
I do like the Chelsea keeper. Go on.
Well, I was going to say, do you know what's really painful? When I update these PowerPoints, I open up the last month one, and I quickly change the title to Game Week 26 and start editing it. And I get to the slide that has my team on it. And every week for the assistant manager, I've had in the top right-hand corner who I'm thinking of. And the first one, it was David Moyes. Second one, it was Marco Silva. And this one, it is Glasner. So I think I'm going to have to stick with it because he's up there and I can't go against what I'm doing here. The problem is, I want to transfer out Sarr because I want my boy. And I may captain him if I bring him. I won't. I'm now going to move my captaincy back to Salah. It's on Palmer at the moment.
We did look at those, Chelsea.
That was before I did the stats, though. Once I've done the stats. Actually, no, I still like it for the stats. They are third for goals for at home. But there's just not the form at the moment. So I'm not in love with it. But I'm tempted. I'll stick with Salah, but I'm tempted to bring in Ethan Nwaneri and captain him.
Yeah, I mean, there's not many attacking outlets for Arsenal. He's been fantastic, and
he's been better than fantastic. If you look at the last fixture, like Arsenal won 2-0, right? Marino comes on, gets 2 goals. Who gets 3 bonus points?
I did see that. Yeah, you got an assist.
He's a BPS but he's a magnet for it. So
yeah. You can't, West Ham are poor at home.
Again, it's one of those situations where people are going to go, he's 4.5. That's really cheap. I don't need... No. This is a starting attacker for Arsenal until probably April.
So I'll ask you: is that your one transfer you've used this week for Glasgow? What
It
you're
will
thinking
be,
of?
yeah.
Because I'm looking
Yeah.
at
And
your
then I'll probably
bench.
take another. My bench is
You're
good.
going to take a hit for
Well,
future, yeah. For future, I suppose.
I want Ranieri, but my bench is good. Like I'm benching Lewis Hall.
Yeah, but I mean, you got better players up there. Yeah, I think you got. I
Yeah, I
think you
don't
got the
need to get
best
rid of
start.
Gakpo. I don't need to get rid of Gakpo yet because he's fine. So yeah, if we go through my team for anyone that's weird and listening, but we've got Jorgensen in goal. Come on, the Chelsea. Hoyson, Gabriel, and Robinson, all home defenders. That's interesting. I've got Robinson. I'm going to have Glasner and Sarr. Um, yeah, I
You
might
having to do
start Hall
this?
actually. I'm
You
going to
having to
start
do
Hall.
this now?
Well,
Yeah.
Hall are well, no, but again, I don't do anything with my team until I've looked at this data as well. What annoys me is I'm in a predictable league with my friends, so I've mentioned a few times here. And since doing this podcast and then putting my predictions in immediately after, I've been smashing it. The deadline for it is 9 p.m. because of a Friday deadline tomorrow. So we always do it 9 p.m. the day before the first game. It doesn't
Oh, yeah.
change because, this many hours. No, 9 p.m. the day before the first game, regardless what time the first game is. So I've had to do it beforehand. And I'm now seeing that Newcastle goal against is the 5th best, and Forest is only the 8th best attack. So, yeah, Fulham, meanwhile, are the 11th best home defence. So, yeah, I'm going to be going Hall over Robinson there. I'll be switching those two around.
Yeah.
Salah, Palmer, Clivert, Diaz all just seem logical. Visser and Isak seems logical. And then it is just Saar makes sense, but he's not good. Like he's one of those players where you keep looking at and you go, oh, but he's got a good fixture. Yeah, but he's not a good player. I've got the wrong player. Well, I don't have Munoz. He's the only good player from there. Him and Mateta right now.
Yeah, that's what happened. Conte. Oh, and do you know what? I thought, he's got a good fixture. I'll leave him. I'll bench him until the double game week, and he goes and gets injured. Brilliant. He's the biggest troll for me this season, hands down, hands down. But no, it looks a good team, mate. I like the Jorgensen pick. I was even chatting again on my team blog at the weekend. I love that swap. And it's good for you because if one doesn't play, the other one doesn't. But I think we spoke
Well,
about this, and I thought Sanchez would be dropped a while before
yeah.
because he's made mistakes. His distribution isn't very good. He's just
But
not good enough to be a keeper.
Jorgensen's not better. I'd said it at the time. Do you remember when I said like what a Maresca goalkeeper looks like and who he wants to sign? And then when he signed
Yes.
Jorgensen, I did again. I wrote a thread on Twitter going, "This doesn't. He's a good goalie, but he's not a Maresca goalie. He doesn't have any of the attributes for how Maresca plays." So
No, but
Sanchez
I
was
look back.
closer. Well, this is the thing. Sanchez was closer, but Sanchez wasn't making saves. So you can be closer at the way you're playing, but if you can't do the number one job of a goalkeeper, which is keep the ball out the back of the bloody net, then it doesn't
Yeah,
matter how much better you are with your feet, which was marginally better than Jorgensen, but enough to keep him in his position because Maresca is dedicated to that style of play. Again, these managers know what they're doing and they're not going to change for one job. They've been hired for those tactics. It's not right to then go, oh, cool, 4-4-2. Like that's when you bring in an Alan Kirbishley, a Sean Dyche, David Moyes, right? For like, mate, just get him to not lose, right? That's when you bring those in. But if you're bringing in the team to move stuff forward, you bring in a player with that vision, with that ability. And if it's not working, and it's clear because of a personnel, you change it. So yeah, it's the only downside someone mentioned to me. In fact, it was Gianni where he went, but what if you want an extra chair? Oh yeah, fair enough. Because are you going to want 2 Chelsea players?
I mean not right now. If it could change, you could if Mark Gui or whatever his name is, he comes back, at some stage and he's scoring a few maybe as a cheap option. But I think there's better options. I doubt it. I can't see it. I think you're fairly safe. But I look back at, they paid more for Jorgensen than they did for Sanchez. All right, granted, listen, they only just got Jorgensen. Completely understand that. But, he's a younger keeper.
Oh, he's a
They
good
bought him for a
keeper.
reason. Yeah, yeah. So I think it's time to give him a crack at least. And hey, listen, at
Yeah.
least there'll be less mistakes.
But I think that's been said to Maresca rather than Maresca choosing, right? Because Chelsea are now being smart enough
Right.
not to buy all of their players for certain managers and to buy it for like the longer term. Theo Jorgensen will be sold for a profit because he's good. Look, on the flip side, he's a better goalkeeper at his age. Donnarumma's a goalkeeper that's just been exposed and he's got older, right? Donnarumma was on the scene as like, oh my God, look at this amazing goalie that's 7 foot tall. Yeah, look at this amazing goalie that's 7 foot tall and can't save the ball. And he's not good. So there's those kind of things. I've just pulled up Geddy's question because he's asking Flecken or Pickford who to start. And I'll be honest with you, like, that's a close one. Arguments would say to start the one at home, I guess, over the one away. And then the data does say that Everton are the 7th best compared to that. But let's actually just look at the exact numbers. Everton at home is about 15 goals they've conceded. Brentford away have conceded 16. So, yeah, flip a coin, mate, genuinely. Who are they playing, though? Everton are playing United, who aren't good at scoring. So, United away don't score.
Leicester?
Brentford are playing Leicester, who are at home, who scores less? United away scores the same amount of goals as Leicester at home.
Oh.
So, genuinely, Geddy, logic would say you go with your Brentford keeper because Leicester are bad, but I would back Jamie Vardy to get a goal.
I mean, I've got Colin, so I'm a bit biased, but
I'm also going to say something. I'm going to click on this.
Yes, Geddy.
I'm clicking on that, and then I'm just scrolling up a bit, and then going right.
Yeah, Geddy's saying I fancy Everton to beat Man. Yeah,
right, and then I'm going to go back to that, and I think you know your answer there, Geddy. Oh wait,
yeah, fair one. Actually, good point.
But now, but my point is, Geddy, it seemed as if at the start you think Everton are going to win, and you're in a kind of coin flip situation. Look, my advice would be play your own way. So, like, I genuinely think this one is kind of a coin toss. If I'm honest, I think they both concede one. I think, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they both conceded one. It'll be a case of you're then playing for save points almost. And who's more likely to make more saves? Leicester shooting from range or United shooting from range? Leicester are more likely to shoot from range for an easy save.
Yeah, I think you've seen improvement from Brentford over these next two anyway, defensively. But yeah, like you're saying, it's a bit of a coin toss. Always go with your first option. Whatever one he thought first, go with your first one.
I guess, Shane, I've just realised we're coming up to the hour, which is perfect timing on it. I know we've still got Coleman here. So, Coleman, do you have any questions? Get any final questions for us where we might be able to pull something up to help? What I'm going to try and do, because we should have time, is tomorrow morning I'm going to just copy and paste this all onto Twitter. So people should be able to then just see some of these graphics on there rather than come back to a video and try and pause it and zoom in, etc. It should be easier on
Twitter. It's been good as well on the... I forgot to say to you, Kieran, on the Spotify as well. So again, if you're listening back, you're probably listening back on the pod. Thanks very much. Again, keep commenting, keep rating, and keep interacting, which is the biggest thing. But yeah, there's been quite a severe uptick in the Spotify, actually.
Has there?
Yeah, there is, which is probably because it's quite a tight time frame of games, chip strategy and stuff like that. So no, it's been good.
I think it's because we're getting it quicker to that hour point, mate. I think that's a magic number where we can kind of rattle through. I think beforehand we were going back through things back and forth. Look, we've got a final question here as Aït-Nouri as an option. What, as a captain? Yeah, absolutely, Colin. Go for it. Use the triple captain if you still have that in hand. But if we go back to it in reality, no. The reason why I say no so quickly out loud is Wolves are the 19th best away defence. Which to me, just in general, I then wouldn't want to touch it. If we then look at how many goals that is away from home they've conceded, that is about 28 goals, it looks like, away from home they've conceded, which is the third highest amount of goals conceded home or away. The second highest away from home, only Southampton. So Southampton at home have conceded the most goals, then Leicester away from home, then Wolves away from home. So I'd actually say if there's any time not to play Aït-Nouri, it's probably when he's away from home. And he's playing against a Bournemouth team who, not prolific at home, but they probably score. And they're not that bad defensively at home either. Look at that. Like, they have conceded about 9 goals at home compared to the 28 that Wolves have conceded. So
no, basically.
probably
Big hard no.
depending on the other options. Geddy.
Last question. Thoughts on Cunha? Kieran's favourite player. There's a lot of people going to Cunha actually. There is for his upcoming fixtures. And I was looking back. It's basically Wolves is basically Cunha FC, really, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? If he scores, Wolves score and they do all right. If not,
and he'll get max bonus. If he scores, he'll get max bonus, right? But a couple of things just to quickly show here. First of all, we look at their goals scored home and away. It's fine in both, but it's not great in either. It's between 16 and 19 goals home and away in each. They've scored 35 goals this season. So again, it's fine for 25 games played. 35 is fine. It's fine. But
yeah,
someone mentioned to me reasons why people like him over, let's say, a Visser, right? Who, again, look at that comparison on Wolves and Brentford. I know Brentford goals are spread around a little bit more, but
yeah,
one of the arguments I've heard why people like Cunha is he is on penalties. How many penalties have Wolves scored this season?
1,
0.
0. Not got penalty.
No. What do you need to win a penalty? A tricky winger who's going to run past dangling legs. Name that tricky winger that's not Rayan Out Nouri.
Oh, I was just about to say Nuri.
You're not getting a penalty. Yeah, but you're relying on your left
No.
wing back to get. Do you know what I mean? Like it's
yeah.
Look, I'm saying that, and then this week he's going to get a penalty because it's Cunha, and we just know that whenever I say it, he's going to get one. So I'm definitely going to jump with it. But
See,
I personally went Wisser. I personally went Wisser just because I think I prefer Brentford overall from an attacking perspective. And at home, I'm going to start him. Away from home, he's quite easy to bench in quite a few games because they're not as good attacking away from home. I also Cunha's on set pieces, another argument, by the way. They've scored 5 set piece goals in 25 games. So like it's fine, it's whatever. But yeah, I'm not going to say no to Cunha. The games are fine. I just don't like this necessarily as an entry point against Bournemouth, personally. But I get it. I get it.
Yeah, I've got Whistle. I think Geddy's
similar to Cole. I reckon if I was doing it this week, I'd probably be paying more attention to Cunha. I was hoping Tell was a striker, and obviously he's not. You can't go Mateta because he's got the blank in 29, and if you're making a transfer, you probably are trying to avoid that. Arsenal don't have any strikers. Bournemouth don't have any strikers. No. Liverpool, you don't want to dangle into the Yotta. Is he a striker, I think?
Don't bring Darwin. Never bring Darwin in, ever.
City, look, genuinely, for me, I'd be going Marmoush. But I know he's, what is he, quite a bit.
What about Beto?
No.
Listen, I always like that. And I was like, actually, the guy's, give me his due, he's scored a few goals.
Yeah, he is, but he's scoring goals for a team that don't score goals. So, like, I at least want hope for my striker to be consistent. I don't know. It's
that was the thing, though.
All of them.
I need to ask you, Kieran, right? For me, with Kai Havertz, it's just exacerbated the issue of less attacking, right? I think it was pretty clear that Cunha wanted to move in the window there. And that's why he got dropped for a game, because he was having a bit of an issue. There was interest shown, and he... Listen, I'm not a Wolves fan, but he basically said, he wanted to entertain it. If it was me, I genuinely think Cunha would have been a better buy than Watkins. I'm not saying Watkins is rubbish, not at all, right?
No. Yeah, but Cunha is a play. Yeah, no, but he's absolutely. It's the opposite of that, right? Because Cunha has significantly outperformed his XG, like significantly. The reason being, Cunha takes shots from places you're not meant to take shots from. Why does he do that? Because he's surrounded by crap. That's why he does it, right? There is no one else to do it. You are not. You look at the way that football is played by certain teams, and it is boring. I get it. It's boring, but it's a statistical game now. We've seen it beforehand. It was done by Ted Knutson when he went into Brentford many, many years ago and introduced it all to them. That if a player shoots from here, this is the XG. If they make that pass to this player here, it increases by this exponential ratio, etc. Arteta follows that policy. Pep follows that policy. The only time Pep doesn't follow that policy is in the last 10 minutes when everyone's behind the ball and then their centre-backs are shooting, right? But for a team like Arsenal, for a manager like Arteta, Cunha would not be allowed to take those shots. So in terms of what he then brings, yes, he's physical. Yes, he has other things, but no one's actually seen what they're like in reality because of the fact that the majority of his data is skewed by these screamers. And it's great that he's capable of them, but I wouldn't want to take that away from him either. I want him to have that freedom, and he wouldn't get that at Arsenal. And not just that, it then would have created an issue as to the summer. Because if you get a Cunha in, you're then not going with the real solution that fits your system that you've been building for the last 5 years. Cunha doesn't fit that 5-year plan that he's been building and still behind on. But yeah, look, I guess just going back to it, Geddy said, yeah, might be Cunha or Mamouche. I wouldn't go Wissa now, but I went Wissa last week. Did I go him last week? I don't know when I went him, a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, I think that's probably us, Shane, because we're about an hour and 10 minutes in here. So do you want to sign us out, my friend?
Yeah, again, it was good that everyone joined. We see Com, Geddy, and others in the chat.
Shane has...
We're back in. I think Kieran's frozen. So I'll keep talking and hopefully come back in. But yeah, like I'm saying, thanks everyone who joined tonight. Thanks everyone who's listening on Spotify. Again, just give us a wee rating, give us a wee comment. It's brilliant to interact, and that's why we do the pod, Kieran. I think you're back now. I think you can hear us. That's why we do it. We love interacting in the community. We're talking about who to choose every game week. Though sometimes we get it right, sometimes we don't. But yeah, remember the deadline is tomorrow at 6:30, so make sure you get your teams in. And after that, we'll put this up on Spotify, be listening tomorrow, and yeah, we'll see you. Well, actually, we'll see you next week, Kieran, won't you? Because it's an early turnaround next week. So it'll be the week after, correct? Yeah, so it's Tuesday. The next one's Tuesday.
Yeah. So we won't be doing Tuesday. When's the game after that? It's 20.
The Thursday?
No, we've got FA Cup break, don't we?
FA Cup.
So we will see you the first Thursday in March.
There you go. Little Easter break for you. Yeah, have a great weekend all, and we'll see you there. Bye-bye.